share, share my screen. So welcome everybody. I'm Cindy Myers. And if you're interested in more information about my services and the work I do, you can go to my website, yourenergyhealer.com. And with that, we're going to talk about animals and their emotions and how it impacts their physical and behavioral issues or behavior, especially where anxiety is concerned. We're going to talk mostly about anxiety because that seems to be the number one issue I've been getting lately with your pets. But just a little before we get going, if you're having a medical emergency with your pet, please call your veterinarian. But what I can do for you during these emergencies is provide energy support for your pet, help them calm down, help them just get their natural energy flow going, support their chakras and all, and just their energy system so that their natural healing abilities can work in coordination with your veterinarian. And for aggressive animals, I do insist that you work with a certified trainer. I'm not a trainer, I'm an energy healer. So, with an aggression issue, it's really important to partner up. What I can help release the trapped emotions that are helping to create the aggressive behavior, but there has to be usually a retraining because it has created a habit, and so it's really important that you'll understand what your pet's triggers are and how to catch it and modify it so you can change that behavior and build trust so that they don't have to go into that aggressive stance. And that you really need somebody with you physically to help you see what's going on and give you tips and training so that you can then train your dog on how to do things differently. So that's very important. Um, so well, we had a little anxiety the last couple of weeks on my farm. I have an alpaca farm because we had shearing, and so that always brings up a lot of anxiety amongst all of us because it's stressful for me, and I worry about my alpacas being sheared, and it was very cold, so then I was worried about them because they have a lot of older animals, so haven't seen them being so cold. It's always it's a high risk time for them to have physical issues. And because of the stress, that can trigger uh, physical issues. So I'm on edge myself during that time. And then also, because I'm on edge, then it impacts all the animals. So, an example of how I know that one of my dogs has picked up some of my stress and anxiety, or the others around him, is as my youngest dog Balin, and his tell sign that he's had too much stress or too many emotions that he can't process out is he gets the hiccups, and so he gets the hiccups usually in the morning, and so a lot of times when we're laying in bed, I hear that. And he now knows that I know how to fix them for him because they're trapped emotions. So he comes over to me with his hiccups, and I do some clearing for him and some tea touch on his little tummy, or actually his diaphragm. And that usually with by the time I've cleared two, three emotions, sometimes just one, the hiccups are gone. So they're very fast. If you're somebody that has hiccups a lot, they quite often are triggered by trapped emotions, and I have helped humans with hiccups, believe it or not. So, so that's just kind of a little side story of how anxiety can cause physical issues, and what is a sign that you wouldn't necessarily think of as being an indicator that it is related to trapped emotions, but his is so related to trapped emotions. So let's talk a bit about that anxiety and how that impacts our dogs. In this case, Bailey's, it impacts his third chakra. Well, actually, solar plexus. It's kind of third and fourth. Uh, so actually third and also the heart. So it's kind of in between those two areas. but it so his but it's also it is so related to his anxiety, and I clear anxiety and it's they're gone. So again, how does this impact our pets? And it works the same for us. Truly, it does as it does our pets. So if you recognize it in your pets, you might recognize it in yourself as well. So anxiety is, just an emotion that our their bodies creates to relate to an emotion or an experience that they've had, right? So something stressful that is scary that they probably don't understand, or something shocking. Could be a singular event that was, I've had a couple of dogs that were attacked by other dogs, so now they're fearful of seeing other dogs or going to a certain place where they were attacked. They don't like to go to that place. That's understandable, right? If I was attacked, I would be nervous about going past that area again and be hyper vigilant when I walk past that area, right? So anxiety can trigger a lot of things. So in this case, in those cases where those dogs have been attacked by others, their anxiety, one of them likes to hide more often. It didn't used to be, but it used to be quite outgoing dog and very social with its people. When it gets anxious, it tends to go hide in a closet. And why would a closet be someplace it would like to go? Well, dogs, cats, a lot of animals like the protection of a den. That's their safe place. And so a closet will feel very den-like. It's enclosed, it's dark, and it's got enclosed by three sides. So it's built very much like a den. So they only have to watch the opening, right? They don't have to watch 360 around them. So feels safe and contained. So one of the signs that when I clear the trapped emotions from this dog, that it's feeling better is it comes out of the closet and starts to engage again with its people. And so anytime, even though they may have not have taken that dog to the same area, it saw a dog that would seem threatening and it was insecure about it, and it had a PTSD response. And dogs can have PTSD just like we do. It was an anxiety provoked response system. So understanding that is important, but it also affects them physically. It can also impact them physically. So, Bailey's example, that isn't a serious issue with some hiccups, but it can create more serious issues. And because it does go to that third chakra with the digestion area, it it can really create a lot of tummy issues. So a lot of times if I get a call that your pet is having more accidents or more diarrhea, and even though you're taking them to the vet, they may be on medication for it, they're still not acting right. You can tell they just don't know what's quite going on, but you don't quite understand what it is. Well, it's those emotions. And because guess what? If it's a fight or flight response system, and anxiety is definitely goes into that response system, even though the threat may be long ago, because they're in an anxious state, the adrenaline is going. So if it, say, a car backfires or a storm happens, something gets triggered, they go into that fight or flight response system. And now that solar plexus area, the digestive system, gets distorted because the digestion area is not seen as vital when you're in the fight or flight response system. You don't need to eat, you don't need to digest when something is an immediate threat to your life. So your body automatically turns the digestive system. It's like turning the burner down on the oven, on the stove down to low. So it is barely working when your pet is in that anxious state. And it can take 24 to 48 hours for the adrenaline to wear off if it's just a singular anxious event. But if they're in a constant state of anxiety or a regular state of anxiety, then you know what, that digestion area is just never fully gets turned on to maximum or optimum levels. So it's not digesting the food well. So even if you give it really great food, it's still not digesting the food properly. And now it doesn't get all the nutrients. It's not getting all the, it's not able to absorb all the normal nutrients. And there's more stuff that everybody dropped out. Did I lose everybody? Hang on. Okay, you are there. Okay, everybody's picture just dropped off all of a sudden. So sorry about that. Let me go back to my screen here. I just want to make sure everybody was still there. That's the hard part with Zoom. I can't see you guys sometimes, but I had pictures and all of a sudden everybody was gone. So let me go back. So what I was saying is with digestion, when you're in that, when they're in that anxiety state, then then they just can't process their food well. So now their filters that need to eliminate that food has to work extra hard. So that's when they get either constipated or diarrhea, or they vomit more. They might get skin issues. The skin is the largest organ in the body, so it's trying to push out what it can't eliminate, the toxins that have developed now, because the body can't filter out all the nutrients properly. So some of the skin issues are because they are quite often related to this anxiety state, this fight or flight response system. So what is important then is to clear out these emotions, and then again, working with either your vet or a nutritionist or somebody to help put in the good stuff, help guide you on what does your pet really need to help rebuild the tissues in the gut, help them, what is the right balance of food that's really good for them so that they can digest it properly. And so then, or maybe sometimes it's just, again, a, a one-time event, they get an upset tummy, clearing those emotions, it regulates their body, and that's sufficient. My guys, I clear stuff. If I see my guys run out and start eating grass voraciously, then that's a sign that their tummy is off. So I quickly do some releases on them. What I don't know what triggered them. For some, I actually do. We had a storm like 2 days before, or a day or two before, and even though it was the day or two prior, it can take 24 to 48 hours then for that adrenaline to settle down, and now the stomach is going right, and they're not feeling good. So it isn't always right then and there during the event that's causing the anxiety. It's not like when the 4th of July happens and the fireworks are happening and they're getting massive doses of adrenaline. It's 24 to 48 hours later, or 72 hours later. It can be even a week later for them to finally have the adrenaline calming down enough, and their system is trying to regulate itself, and their tummy just starts going floppity flop flop. And that's when you start seeing the diarrhea or the other stuff happening. So just because the event happened, and this is really important to listen to, I hope you're hearing this. If you had something major go on, a big thing that was scary to your pet, if they don't feel well a week later, it's quite often related to that event that happened a week prior. Okay, so when I work with you, you'll tell me a lot of times. You'll tell me, well, no, I don't know why they're all of a sudden doing this. Everything's fine. It's been okay. And then all of a sudden, you let me know that there was a storm. There's a passing comment because you intuitively you think you probably are aware that it was an issue, but you've kind of either forgotten or you just don't think that that could possibly be related. And then my ears perk up. I go, oh, okay, I needed to know that. And now I know exactly what to clear. Okay. So that is very, very common, that it can take a week up to a week later for you to see the physical issue. It isn't always right then and there. They don't have diarrhea the second the fireworks go off. It's a day, 2 days, 3 days later, a week later. Or if you go out of town, say you're going on trips now that things are opening up and you're going on a little holiday or a work meeting or something, you go away, your pet doesn't experience any physical issues until a week later. It's the anxiety of your being gone. things are back to normal, they are calming down, and then that's when it hits. I know for me, when I, excuse me, um, when worked as an engineer at the base, and invariably is when I took vacation time, I took a week off, I would get a cold, I would get sick. It's because my stress went away and my body relaxed enough and the adrenaline went down. And that's when my immune system had been so on edge that when I finally relaxed, that's when it got overwhelmed and I would get sick. So it, it it doesn't seem like that's when you should get sick. You should be getting sick when you're in the anxious state. But a lot of times, as soon as you everything is calmed down, that's when it comes out. So don't be surprised if your pets get feeling a little puny after a major event. So what can you do for your pets? I always like to give you guys tips. And then I know this is the same tip I always give, and I'll repeat it 100 times more because you know what? I forget during shearing time. I forgot half the time of, oh yeah, I can do that for my pet, for my alpacas. Oh yeah, I can do that for my dogs. When Bailey comes in for his hiccups, he reminds me, can you fix these? Oh yeah, I can fix those for you. So we forget. So it's worth telling you over and over. So the first thing to do is just breathe, breathe. Do full, slow, deep breaths. Our animals pick that up. Again, with the example of the alpacas, if um, I was, we had one laying down on the ground getting sheared, and she was anxious, and the holder was a brand new guy for the shear. I was the second farm he had ever sheared at, so he was very new, and he was at the head of the alpaca. And so this alpaca was very nervous. So I thought, oh, good time for me to teach this guy an important trick that he can now apply to all the farms he goes to. And I said, massage the back of her ear. Just there's a notch. There's a notch. Your dogs have it, your cats have it, you have it. There's a notch behind the ears. Your horses, your donkeys. There's all this little notch behind your ear. I don't know if you can see it on me, but it's right behind your ear. And if you just do little circles and massage that notch and breathe, just slow, gentle massages back there. It's very calming. Your pet will usually calms down. We watched this alpaca that was extremely nervous and quite upset of the shearing. She was just very scared. And she almost immediately just relaxed and she wasn't happy with the process, but she calmed down, her eyes softened. She definitely was more relaxed through the rest of the process. And he just went, wow, that was really cool. So I taught him to do quick little energy work, and not the kind of guy that necessarily even believes in that stuff, but he saw what he could do with just a simple touch that calmed an animal down. And and the rest of the animals did pretty good with him at their head. So simple little tip like that can help you calm your pet down. And why is that important? Well, of course, the obvious is who wants to see their their cat or their dog or their beloved animal being so nervous in an instant, or at the vet's office or something. This is a great tip at the vet's office. If your pet is really scared and you're holding them, just massage the ear, that notch in the ear, and it will just help them, just take a little bit of that anxiety off. And guess what? Then they're not building up as much adrenaline because they've got a little more calming juices going in. And so maybe they don't get the upset tummy a day or two later because they were so scared. And our pets are really good. Our animals are really, really wise about this. If something feels good, they're more likely to go to that place that feels good than the place that doesn't feel good. And anxiety does not feel good. So if we show them a different way of feeling and being that feels better, that's what they're going to want. That's why Bailey has learned, oh, I'll run to to me, mom, when I get the hiccups because that's uncomfortable. And whatever she does, it makes me feel better. So he comes running from the other side of the house quite often with his little hiccups, or he could be sleeping on the foot of the bed and all of a sudden he's standing, on top of me going, looking at me, can you fix these? So he knows what I can do for him, and that can help him. They can ask for help. So that's a great little tip that I'm not sure I've ever shared that one, or it's been a while since I shared that specific tip. So do that. You can also think peace and calm while you're massaging that yourself and breathing. Just again, love and above, gratitude, any of those emotions that adds to it. You're now a little radar and you're transmitting out those higher frequencies, calming chemicals. You're calmer, your pulse rate is way down there, your pet is picking that up, you're calm yourself, and it helps you because you might be worried and upset. I mean, going to the vet usually is not a fun trip for us either because we're worried about them. So if we can calm ourselves down, that will help them. They're reading us. If we're nervous, then now that's telling them, see, I know that there's something to be scared of because you're scared. Mom or dad is scared. So if we can stay calm ourselves, then it gives them more confidence that this isn't going to be so bad. All right, let's see what next. Okay, if you need help and it's the first time you've worked with me, or your first time with a specific pet you might have, I recommend my starter package. That's why it's called that, the first time. You get a 45-minute phone consult with me, and we can get really into knowing what the issues are. It takes time to parse out all the different things that are going on. And then I get to clear all the trapped emotions and balance their energy that might be related to that issue. Communicate with your pet what we do want them instead of maybe a negative behavior. We can problem solve what we do want them to do instead and communicate to them. And then coaching tips, just like the notch on there, there's a lot more coaching tips. So I might give you those that are specific to helping your pet with a specific issue they're going through. And then you also get a 15-minute follow-up session. And that's really important because it continues the healing momentum, and we need that. All right. And future events. So no healing circle this Saturday. Okay, I'm taking the day off. I'm going to a sheep to shawl event. It's a little fiber arts festival nearby. So no healing circle Saturday. But next Wednesday, there will be a healing circle, no webinar, just a healing circle. Then the following Saturday, so a week from Saturday, we'll have another healing circle. And then the next intuitive listening webinar, which is more geared towards humans, will be on the 18th. So 2 weeks from tonight. All right. So now, if you have any questions, I apologize for a little hiccup in the system there. I was getting messages on there that you weren't seeing things, you are seeing things. I don't know what was going on. Technology is grand. So if you have any questions, if not, I did get an email. I don't know if anybody else sent pictures in, but I did get one so far. But I can check my emails to see if anybody else sent a picture. I don't see any questions. You can always just unmute yourself or write it in the chat box. If not, Anne, I think I got Charlie here.
Yeah, check your email, see if that second one came through.
All right.
I read the subject, I changed to Frankie.
Did not come through still. That's weird.
Maybe the sizes are too big. It wasn't meant to be then.
Let me just check my spam folder.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, I went to spam.
Is that where it was?
Okay. So you rather do Frankie?
Well, wait, actually, I would rather do Frankie, even though I'd like to do them both. But yeah, you have time.
All right. That's weird because I got your other ones and it didn't send it to spam. So I don't understand technology. At times. Okay. So can you see him?
I can, yes,
That's the right one.
yes.
All right, so this is Frankie. So tell us about Frankie and what.
He's the one that, he's about 3 years old and he keeps biting people. He's very reactive. We don't know whether it's out of fear or aggression. Um, he's been placed with 2 people in the last 2 years, I guess, that we know of. And he's sweet as can be and smart as hell. And he's also gets very reactive. It's like if he's sleeping and you wake him up, he attacks. And he doesn't just warn, he attacks, and then he proceeds to double attack to make sure he's got a good grip on you. If he's scared, he will do that. It's primarily if he's scared, but he's bit me like 3 times. Finally, Carolyn has taken him and she's fostering him because my system was just so tense. I mean, I just every little sound and every little quick movement, I was jumping. And but he's smart as a whip and he's loving as anything. He just wants to be. He's territorial as far as wanting to be the only one, but mostly it's that he reacts and he's just goes into a red zone and there's no chance to he's all cuddled up with you and then there's no chance and he just like flips. And it's when he's startled, like one time he bit me. He was laying on the couch next to me, he was sitting up, and I just took his paw, and we'd had a really good week or two, just to make him lay down because he was blocking the TV view, and he nailed me. He just attacked me. Another time we were napping on the bed, and he flipped on his back, and I thought, isn't that cute? And I put my hand on his belly, and he nailed. I couldn't even get him to release his teeth out of my hand because I was laying on my side, I had no leverage. Another time, he was sitting on my lap, and another dog wanted to come up too, and he went after that dog because he's gone after some dogs. And he also felt my hand on his back, which had been fine a minute before. So he just felt he went after this dog, and then he flipped and he went after my hand. And I finally said, I can't do this anymore. And Carolyn has taken him. She's got tons of experience with dogs, not as a trainer, but as a rescuer over the years. And we just don't quite know what to do with them.
Well, yeah. So this is where the fight or flight response system is. I mean, it's an example of the fight response, the aggressive. So you pretty much have 3 responses when the fight or flight response system happens. You They run away, they freeze, they deer in the headlight, right? Freeze, or they attack. And he goes totally into attack mode. So when you say he's smart as a whip, yeah, that's the cognitive part. But you don't access that when you're in a reactive state. That's why, again, just releasing the trapped emotions probably isn't sufficient.
Yeah.
What my concern is with that, especially if he gets placed in a home where they aren't as aware or there's any stress in the household or any changes, it's like when I release the trapped emotions, there's this threshold that we can all tolerate so much, pets included. There's but it's individual, depending on what their background is. There's like this threshold that if your things are going okay, you're below that threshold. But as soon as a stressor happens, boom, it goes right over that threshold and then react. And so when I remove those trapped emotions, I don't know how far below that threshold is. I might give you some padding, but all of a sudden now there's some changes happening, there's some stress in the household, and it starts building up, building up. Nobody knows what's even building up until all of a sudden now he reacts, something happens. It could be a child, it could be somebody that triggers him. And so that, because that is his response system, that's what he's learned, or I don't know if it's a learned behavior or that's just how he was born to, I don't know what initially is our trigger response to that being triggered. We've learned something that when we've been in a scared state, by responding this way, we survived. And so now that's the habit. So his habit and his response system is when he gets startled, he goes into fight mode. And I honestly not sure how you train that out of him, because that is a really, he's what, 3 years old, so he's learned that response for 3 years when he's been stressed out. And he's got this other negative feedback loop that because, and he doesn't know, unless you train it in the moment. That's why you have to work with a trainer, because you've got to see, somebody has to see it in the moment to change the behavior. And with me releasing stuff, I can't see what's happening to him in the moment, right? I'm talking to you, it's well after the fact. So I'm releasing old stuff. But a trainer is going to work with whoever that hopefully will help instigate. In some ways, they need to create the response so that they can teach him to do something else. And I can't do that from here. So that's why it's important to work together with it, because I can release it and he can give him some padding, but I don't know how close it is. And for all his background and his experience and changes of from one home to the next, and because his rehoming is a lot because of this aggressive behavior, people don't know how to deal with it, that now he doesn't trust people. He doesn't fully trust. So now he's always on edge, and and now he gets abandoned again. He gets rehomed because of it, but he doesn't know it's because he bit somebody that he gets rehomed.
I know, it's so sad.
It's very, very sad, and but it. And this is again where I do have to be really strict, or stick to my boundaries on it. I can release stuff for him, but I just want you to be really, really clear. That doesn't solve the problem. He will bite again because he's
We
going to
do,
feel trapped emotions. He's
we
eventually.
do, yeah, we do understand that. And I won't even tell you what happened when Carolyn took him. I mean, I completely calmed down. I didn't no idea the level of stress I had in my body when he was in my house until he left. But the poor boy, it just him leaving he was as screwed up as he was getting some peace here, I think, because she took him and she said, first of all, she took him back to her place. He threw up all over her in the car. He wouldn't get out of the car for 24 hours. He was absolutely panicked. And she just, she just gives him all the space that he needs. And eventually he came in and everything, and he's slowly warming up to her. But just that change was just so tremendous. She said, oh God, Ann, I feel like I don't even know if we've done more damage than we, certainly
Yeah,
didn't.
but you're right. But then he's feeling your stress too, which only makes him
That
more
wasn't
reactive. So
yeah.
you're in a negative feedback loop, and it is heartbreaking. And I don't know what all the answers are on this, but at least he's with somebody that's patient and hopefully can give space. And like you said earlier, that you're trying to find a behaviorist or somebody that can work with him, and that's the hard part. But keep hoping maybe you find somebody that's, and it isn't just some. I don't want to dish PetSmart, but I mean you just can't just get any regular old basic trainer. You need to find
I get, yeah, I understand
really
that. Yeah.
experienced which could help with, he's not the first reactive dog that you worked with. So he
Yeah.
could be a good teacher in me either knowing what to do for him or, uh, and unfortunately, sometimes the medication that some of the behavior is trying to put them on makes it worse because they're fighting that feeling of being doped up, that their brain is foggy and that makes them feel even more secure because they just mm, the world just is foggy. So like
Yeah.
it can help, but it can also do the opposite. I've seen a lot of the opposite happening. I've seen it help, but I've also seen the opposite. And so it doesn't always work just giving them medication on it. It's it's working. I have to say, even with humans, it is the hardest um habit, fear-based habit to overcome. Because again, when we're triggered and we go into that fight or flight response system and the habit that's created, for the ones that are aggressive, they want to get mad and get into fights. You get into arguments all the time, and then it's too late to calm yourself down and to find those tools of breathing and all that. For those of us that freeze or kind of, I'm more of a like take a step back and freeze for a few minutes so that I don't want to engage in the conflict when I'm having an interaction with, especially another human. I actually get calmer and quieter because I'm trying to access my thinking brain and figure out what the heck to do. Whereas the other person's getting mad or something, I was like, and yelling or screaming, I get quiet. So my response system is more of the quiet one, and then I can usually get to the tools faster. But if for those that are more aggressive types, it's a light switch, and they just go right into fight mode, which is what you've seen with him. And it's what happens with the humans too. Those that just go straight into being angry, then go, yeah. That is really hard to coach them out of it because it's too late. They can't catch it in time. They just go straight to anger, and then they have to get out of it. They gotta get it out of their system. And then they're the smart, sweet, wonderful pet. It's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. And he does it, he can't, he does, he's not doing it on purpose. He's just not. It's just what he's learned because of his background, because of whatever. His protective mode taught him that if I react, the threat goes away. So I will clear, okay, because you do know we've had that discussion many times. So I know you do understand this rule, and you're trying to find somebody, and I will try and see what we can do to support him in helping um, your friend too. So we're going to clear abandonment. Worthless. And he was storing it in his back and withers. So you'd mentioned that your hand was in his back. Well, that's where he's storing a lot of trapped emotions.
Mm.
Well, it makes sense. Where's the withers? When their hackles go up, that's in the withers area. And that would be um, where aggression would get stored in their hackles, right? Plus, for him, it's like somebody grabbing him from behind. A bird could be a threat, is a predator. So they would grab from on top. Lack of control.
Mm.
Definitely doesn't have control over his life or his response. Confusion, defensiveness, frustration, bitterness, crying,
What?
crying.
Crying?
Yep,
Like tears?
yep.
Oh.
anxiety, betrayal. Did you ever notice anything going on with his right shoulder
No,
or right leg up high?
no.
Okay. I don't know.
And he would let me, when he was in when he wasn't, when he, when he wasn't attacking, he would let me handle him and pick him up, and you know what I mean? Like it was just this, and the reason I say that was, um, I, so I had my hands all over him and I never noticed any
React.
react. He did like to have his back gently stroked, but I never noticed him being careful about any part of his body.
So yeah, T-touch would probably be a good one. Keeping him in balance. Uh,
I used to do that, yeah.
uh, so I think the discomfort. I think he was trying to show me some of what happened early on in life. So I do think he got attacked early. I don't know if it was by another dog. It might have been. So I think he just. So I think whoever had him first did not obviously know how to work with him. And oh, are you a single? So you said he's not great with other dogs?
He can be fine with other dogs. He doesn't really care one way or the other, but sometimes he gets nasty with them. In other words, I think if there's tension, and but that's in my house. When he was here, I had 7 dogs, and they feed off of each other, and pretty soon you've got a few males, and pretty soon they're scrapping. Nobody ever drew blood or anything, but they feed off each other's tension.
Right, right. Well, I'm feeling that right shoulder again. So he might have been attacked before, but I think too, he's just feeding off of the energy more, uh, the anxiety, and I think he's because of the resource guarding, um, he's always had that, and he just didn't get trained at a young age. I think that whoever had him originally, uh, just ignored it as a problem and didn't know how to retrain it or train it out of him. Because at a puppy, you really need to work with that. If you see a resource guarding, pull the food away, you need to not just yank it away from them, but
He,
train them.
he wasn't so much it's not so much with food. It was
No,
more,
but there's something with resource guarding that he developed, and it might have been over people that
yeah.
whatever he felt that was his or a toy or something that he reacted to, and he was not taught properly how to be that if a person took something away, they don't get to bite them, and he kind of learned to be more and more aggressive and then more reactive, and then stuff started changing. One person, one family, then to the rescue or whatever, the abandonment stuff started happening. Now he's confusion, the abandonment, the anxiety of changes and all that, new households, and that fear-based stuff starts kicking in, and he's just more defensive all the time. So he reacts, and I probably had the defensiveness anyway because he may have been punished. Maybe the punishment that he got when he did snap or snarl at somebody when they took something away or got near something. It may not just have just been to take something away. They might have just stepped near it and he thought they were taking something away. and he reacted and bit a foot or something like that. And he probably got spanked or swatted or something, right? Or kicked or whatever. And so now he's more and more defensive when he reacts.
That makes sense.
So he gets more defensive when even though he's the one being aggressive, it's also now somebody I need to even attack more. He doubles down because now you're going to respond to it, and your reaction is to scream and yell and go ow, right, and get off, stop it, and be, you might have to be more aggressive yourself to try and pry his mouth off of you or whatever, right? And so he just getting, and you're in that negative feedback loop. And then
Yeah.
the next response is, "Look, I'm done with you. You need to go somewhere else."
Yeah.
So you've got a pattern of a whole cycle. You can almost read the cycle of what happens,
Yeah, I sure can.
right?
Yeah.
And again, this is where somebody with a whole lot of patience and working with somebody that can really help train is your best shot on modifying it. And I don't even know if that's possible, to be honest with you.
Neither do Carolyn and I, and we're still keeping looking. We don't know if he'll ever get through that.
Yeah, I don't know. I
But
don't know how you teach them the other's response because it's so fast. That the
yeah,
reaction is so fast.
that's, are you picking that up from what I said or from him?
Well, both, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
immediate.
true.
It's a lot. It's like you can't. This is why for him in particular, a lot of dogs give you a warning. There's a little growl. There's a little snap, right, before they
Yes.
go into it. His is light switch. It goes from I'm okay, and something startles me, and bam, I'm going to attack whatever's near me.
It's like being with a live electric wire, like a hot wire, and if you touch it the wrong way, you
Right.
get nailed.
Nailed. And again, there's no time for you to just try and reposition him or help get him out of it because he's already gone.
I know.
In chemistry, we called it, and I don't know if you ever titrated, but he goes from white to pink, and there's no go back.
Yeah, that's
It-
absolutely it.
And he doesn't have a step, doesn't even have a half a step that you could be, that's why you were on such edge, just because you you don't know what to read.
Yes,
A
you're
lot of times
absolutely right.
like you said, he was sleeping and peaceful, but something startled him. And it could have been he was dreaming, or you just touched him, when somebody wakes you out of a dead sleep, you startle, and that's enough. Because he went into startle mode, and that's fight or flight, and I bite.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Well,
so I'm
we're
sorry.
gonna we're gonna keep looking. We've got him on Prozac now, and I don't think Prozac really fogs you. Oh, I take Prozac, so I have for 30 years, so it doesn't really fog you out as such, like tranquilizers or anything like that. But anyway, who knows?
Yeah, and
I
again,
just
I don't know if it changes the habit. It might just calm them a little bit, but I don't know. I did that.
No, it's not. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the problem. It might do a little bit, but at this point, any little bit will help.
Let's see if hopefully by clearing some stuff, it gives you some space to try and retrain it. That's the only thing that the clearings can do, is kind of give you a little padding in that buffer
Exactly.
zone. But you
Well,
have
you always give me such good advice anyway. I mean, and that's where I've taken so many, what's the word? Ideas and suggestions and, practices and things that you've helped me with dogs over the last
Well,
5
you've
years.
had a lot of successes, but you've also had a lot of challenging. You get a lot of challenging. But,
Yeah,
even with that, because you take on so many of the challenging ones, you too, you're at that point where now you're very reactive. You don't have as much padding to deal with a dog that's overly reactive because you're trusting them as if they act aggressive, you're gonna go, "Wah," and be stressed out about it. And being in a situation with a lot of dogs, it's too much energy for them. It's not setting him up to succeed either.
yes, you're
To get him
absolutely
out
right.
into a calmer setting, you
Yep.
gotta have some peace and calm to build that trust up and to then work with them so that you can have more time to catch and be able to work out that issue of the hyper reactivity with him. And with that many dogs and having, like you said, too many hormones and stuff, energy going around, that is not conducive for him to, even though he was learning to love being with you and he misses you and all that, it's just not conducive for him to learn how to be different.
No, and I totally get it. Yeah, it's just a sad situation.
Very sad.
But never say never, and never give up. We're gonna keep working on it.
Okay, well, you're giving him the best opportunity to succeed as you can.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will work with him more if you get a trainer.
But we're fine. Okay, good. Sounds good.
Okay. Um, did anybody else have any questions? Can we work on Charlie? Because I need a sit.
Yes, please. Oh, what? Are you asking me or telling me?
Can we, please?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, we only have a couple minutes, but I need to have a happier ending than that. That one's sad. So this is Charlie.
This is Charlie. Charlie is about, I think he's about 6 or 7 years old. So he's just a nice middle-aged young boy.
And you just came into your group, or is he with you?
Yeah, he just came into our group. And actually he's the one that Carolyn swapped me out with Frankie. I took Charlie and she took Frankie. She's got a bunch of other fosters too, but anyway, so Charlie is basically a scaredy cat. He's just gets real scared of everything. And that's basically it. It's high energy little terrier chihuahua mix.
So
But
how does he react when he's afraid? Does he hide or?
he hides. He flips on his back and pins his ear back, or he snaps at you. But he's not like Frankie. He's not like dangerous, you know. I mean, he snaps at you, but it's
But he gives
kind
you
of a
signs.
he gives you warnings.
Yeah. Okay. So that's different. Again, well, this is a
Oh
good
yeah,
example of somebody that's highly reactive. That immediately goes into their aggressive state in the fight or flight response system. He goes to more of the freeze and hide, run away. But if he gets pushed, he will react. But there's layers, there's levels.
yes.
So that's a little different. So that is a good example to work with, and it's easier to work with that method or that mode out that response system to the fight or flight response system than the highly reactive one. And we have a lot more success with somebody like Charlie than I do with Frankie.
I can feel that too.
So let's
Although
clear.
he bit me on, we were napping yesterday in the afternoon on the bed, and he buries himself under the covers, and I took a nap on the bed too, and I just turned and he bit my butt literally. He snapped at my butt under the covers. He didn't break any skin or tear my pants or anything, but it's like, I beg your pardon. But I had just scared him, you know. He had found his quiet little safe place, and then
So he likes to
so
burrow into a den-like setting that's dark.
Yeah. He
Mhm.
didn't know it was, yeah, so he is reactive like that, but just like you said, he will warn you first. Because even the snap wasn't deadly or,
Yeah, it was he accidentally hit you more than trying to actually bite you, I think.
exactly.
Um, but still, that's inappropriate. So what happens when he does something like that? Is there a consequence right away?
I I think because I feel like he's very scared of a lot of just very, very scared of things. I don't react to him. I try to just back off, give him space. Um, he like, and that he's only been at my house for like 2 weeks now. At first, he wouldn't even let me put a halter, like that little red halter, put the red halter on him because he was scared of me or scared of hands. I've been having, he's not very well potty trained, so I've been trying to put belly wraps on him, and a couple of times he just went after my hands. But I've found if I just breathe and try to stay really calm around him, he will relax around me and then he'll let me touch him and handle him. So
Okay.
it's more
So
of a matter of being really calm and centered and not put out any energy, negative energy.
yeah, yeah, good. So keep doing that and doing T touches when he allows you to touch him. Definitely
Okay,
keep do T touches with him because he needs to that you're building a bond and trust with him because he doesn't
okay.
yet and doesn't quite understand who you are or what you're doing. And hands are scary stuff. So and fast movements. So let me clear some anxiety off of him, confusion, unworthy, clearing that, overwhelmed, clearing that, fear, clearing that, defensiveness, clearing that. So let me talk to him about why he's there with you. This is not a full permanent home, but you're working with him to find a permanent home. And he's safe with you. You're letting him know that he's safe.
And what?
That he's safe with you.
Oh,
There's a shift. Okay, so we got a little shift with him. He's still not
okay.
certain of what the heck's going on. Confusion, maybe some more confusion. But yeah, I think your best friend, again, you might have to just do it real slow, just like you've been doing. Wait till he's okay with you. Again, be careful. If he shows any sign of don't touch me, don't do it. But when he's willing to let you start petting him and doing that T touch, you need to do the T touches anywhere he likes it. And if he says enough, like you do, just let him go.
That's the feeling I've been getting, and he has been slowly calming.
And put peace and calm when you're doing it.
Okay,
If you feel any tension from him, say release fear and replace with the peace and calm.
say that to him.
You're thinking it to him. Release fear, and then you send him peace and calm.
And then it's really hard to hear you tonight.
Okay, so release fear, and then you send peace and calm.
Okay,
Right?
release fear, and I send peace and calm to him. Okay,
Because
good,
he's
good one.
anxious and he's still fearful when things are he doesn't understand everything. So you're releasing it, and then and replacing it with that good energy that
Okay,
helps him feel more safe and secure. And I would do T touches at the base near his tail if he'll let you. Because that's first chakra where their sense of security is.
Okay.
So you're building the sense of security because that's been damaged with all the changes and uncertainty that he's had with around humans and in life in general. So doing the T touches is putting the calming chemicals, that safe, secure chemicals in that first chakra, where their pride resides in their sense of security. And you're rebuilding that picture, like you're rebuilding that trust.
Okay. I just took some notes of what you just said too. Okay.
Hopefully by those clearings, you've got some room now to build on that.
Yeah, I think he has a lot of potential of,
Yeah, he definitely different energy than Frankie.
yeah.
He's
And
got-
actually, the guy
he's
who's
got a
sitting with him,
sensitive and
he's,
confusion from the changes, but once you get him more calm, and again, when he finds a home, that might be a time when he needs some more clearings and explanation of what's going on, because he'll take a few steps back. So teaching them what's working
Ah,
for you and getting him to build trust, teach
yeah,
that to the new owners.
good idea. Okay.
So thank you for sharing.
Oh my
your-
gosh, thank you. Are you kidding me? Thank
And
you.
so that's another good example of building the trust in the root chakras and third chakra. He might have tummy issues. I think he said, well, Frankie threw up right away when the changes were, so that third chakra was distorted. So those are really good examples of the topic today. So thank you.
Mhm.
Perfect timing. All right, so we're a little past the top of the hour. I'm going to stop